Howdy, folks. Happy Monday. Hopefully you're hearing us okay. Hey, Steph.
Hi. What's up?
Hi.
Hi.
It's only Monday. I moved to having my weekends on like a Tuesday or something, or a Tuesday, Wednesday. But yeah, that just means often you don't have a weekend. But so today's like technically, I guess, my Friday, but I'm not taking any weekend this week. But I'm going to have a weekend this month, midweek. How about you?
Oh. Working, constantly working. Yeah. What are weekends? What are they for?
What is an
I know it's
end?
Saturday and Sunday, but isn't it just for working?
That's when
No? Just me? Okay.
your aunties go to church. Um, so thank you to those who've sent in questions already. Let's just jump straight on to it. I'll remind us first, I guess. This week our theme is art nude portraits. I saw a question in here. Can it be implied? Can it be this or that? Yes, it can be all of those things, and yes, it can be an inanimate object, or yes, it can be a cheeky play on the theme, like a peeled apple, or a mannequin, or a shaved puppy, or whatever. That doesn't really matter. It needs to be a great photo still, but I imagine most of them are going to be human adults and artistic nudes. Just a reminder, please, if your shot that you want to enter, first of all, make sure it's your own shot. Only enter one shot per person. Follow the size and naming description at mattgranger.com live. Make sure you have the subject's permission to enter it, and either you own full rights to the image or check with them that they're okay to have it put in the live stream. If you're submitting it, I'm assuming you have their permission. And if the shot you want to enter includes genitals, just blur them, because YouTube will have a hissy fit, even though Steph and I aren't personally offended.
Yeah.
And you can join my new site, artnudeportraiture.com. I'm just in the middle of editing mode. I think I am four or 4.5 out of 6 behind the scenes photo shoots edited, which once they're all edited, I'll be sending one out to all of the subscribers for free, so you can check that out. So let's take a look at some questions. If you have questions for Steph or I or both of us, we'll dedicate half an hour. If there's great questions coming in, we can run over, but otherwise go crazy and we'll answer as many as we can. Photo Girl 262019 asks, what do you consider the line for going too far in post-processing? That's one of those how long is a piece of string questions. I don't think you can answer it. It's like it's like art versus pornography. It's a personal thing, and you'll know it when you see it. There isn't a necessary that the slider should never go to 8 out of 10. It's just when it doesn't look good to your eye. At the end of the day, it's your image. So it's when, for you, it looks like too much. For me, it's too much when it's leaving obvious artifacts and haloing, or, it really depends what it is. There'd be times where Steph and I might shoot something and we want it to look, mannequin-y, fake, too perfect to be real look. So then too much is just enough. And then there's other stuff where they get, slight cropping and levels, and that's it. So there isn't a line. A friend of mine, Ricard, he's a Photoshop guru. He does composites. So for some people, that is too far already. But what he makes is something new. So, it depends on what it is you're doing.
Yeah, I think it's all really comes down to this. It's subjective. It's what you're happy with. But if you're trying to go with like the general audience, I mean, it depends who you're appealing to, because there's like the Instagram audience, and I feel like that's super over edited. I mean, I have seen like those Instagram models that have like those super thin, skinny waists. That's just so unrealistic, but that's kind of like the thing that's in right now. So I think it just comes down to, what are you happy with?
So I guess there's multiple ways to look at it. So what Steph was just describing, I totally agree. I don't know if it's more complex or it's just you have to shift your focus a little bit. So if you're talking about photoshopping a person, my own personal thing is, unless like Steph, using Steph as an example, hope you don't mind, or me, unless I
I
had
don't
a
care.
big zit for the day that I normally don't have, that I might take out. But if it's a freckle that I always have, generally I'll leave it in. If, you know, and I wouldn't remove somebody's mole or freckle without checking, because some people would find that really offensive and some hate it and want it gone. So you just don't know. Having shot hundreds, maybe thousands of people for my different books and whatever, I have an idea, but then there's still times I meet someone and it's like, you look photoshopped, you know, the person just does look that way. So you can't assume. Sometimes those people with tiny waists and big boobs and 6'2" tall, they exist. It's just not the majority. And it's the same for landscapes. Shots that are like, I don't like landscapes that are just so obviously HDR treated, but they're so popular on social media. So it's a personal taste thing. We got loads of questions streaming in, so I'm going to have to be a bit more rapid fire so I can keep up with them. Friso asked something about the lighting courses, what's different about them. So you're talking about the art nude portraiture side, I think. They're not lighting courses per se. I haven't actually announced it yet, other than there's going to be some behind the scenes, but I rented a big house a couple of weeks ago and we filmed a bunch of different lingerie, implied and full nude photo shoots with 3 or 4 different models, 6 shoots in total, Steph being one of them, Yasmin another, and some others. And the point of them is it's not like stylized or trying to be super cool or glamorous. It's to be a fly on the wall, realistic of how a shoot like that goes down. So the conversations we have, the technical considerations, how we need to sometimes move things around the frame, how we refine poses, how we communicate. So basically to demystify it and, you know, hopefully help people realize it's not an art nude photo shoot isn't a Dear Playboy letter. It's a photo shoot where someone happens to be nude, but it's still a normal professional shoot. So some of them will be focused on, like the one with Steph, we were surprisingly talking about types of lingerie, correct fitting bras, how to pose out stomachs, how to not have nipple covers sweat off. With another model we were talking with another model we were talking about different poses for different body types. Another about how much butt is too much, and for everyone about what their own personal guidelines are and how we stick to that. So each one's going to be different. I'll write up a clear description because they will vary. It's not going to be that you buy one of Steph and we cover angle of light and posing for long legs and small tummies, that the next shoot is going to cover that as well. The next shoot, like, so for example, the shoot we did, I shared on Instagram today, a guy jumping up through the mist. The considerations of shooting a naked man jumping around obviously are quite different to a woman posing in high heels and lingerie. So each shoot is its own beast, for want of a better term. O says, will you pick up the budget photography videos? Yep. I keep getting asked that one. My answer is still yep. It's just a matter of time, but they will come back. Ato Chair, what are the most common mistakes more advanced photographers make? That's tough. Again, photography, it's for you. So I guess that would be the thing. A lot of, this is really common. A lot of people want to, well, in anything, you know, you get to be a martial artist and you think, how can I cover some of the costs? Well, let me teach it, let me do it commercially, let me do this. Or you get interested in wristwatches and then you start to try and build some kind of a business around it. For photography, I think something that people often don't see is they think, I'm spending all this money on gear, I love my photography, I'm doing really well at it, I'm getting great feedback, so let me just take a job a month to help cover my expenses, without realizing what goes into that, and that as soon as you're shooting for someone else, it's no longer what you want, it's a job and you have to do what your boss or client tells you to do or is paying you to do. And it's easy to lose your passion that was just an enjoyable hobby. And, Steph and I both have shared friends who are amazing photographers. Some of you guys in the room who it's not a profession, you're turning out work that's every bit as good as a professional, but it's exactly the kind of work that you want to do. If you then have to go and shoot it to someone else's standard, one, it may not be your style anymore, and two, you may just lose the enjoyment of it. Here's a good one. Photo G Mike asked, has there been personal and business growth for the two of you during lockdown? I'll give you a second to think on that one, Steph. For me, personal growth,
okay.
I have personally grown, if that counts. Business-wise, yes, it was a combination of good luck and good timing that I had already, as of December and January, started to shift the direction of where things were going to go this year, which was to be less travel, more building things. And as you saw, we've just launched 2 new websites, the second one being mattgrangerphotography.com. And those who are around and haven't checked it out yet, do check it out. We're doing next Monday, a couple of hours before this time, a free masterclass that anyone can join. So come on in, it should be fun. I haven't done one before, but the new software supports it. So yeah, there's been changes, and in any upheaval, whether it's anything like this, unfortunately there's a lot of carnage and there's a lot of industries failing, but there are also other opportunities if you're able to take a step back, take stock, and look at them. What do you think, Steph? How's it been for you?
Personal, I have been getting quite a belly as well, because just staying home and eating and sitting at the computer constantly. But just spending time with like Timmy and like Lucky, and just actually being home is nice. And I think I needed that mental break from always like running all over the place from shoot to shoot to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And business wise, like I think honestly, I think one of the big things that I really enjoy about the industry that I am in regards to like filmmaking or just being an entrepreneur, is constantly learning new things. I'm constantly researching. So, yeah, just taking the time to actually build up art school dropouts is something that I have been wanting to do for quite a while, but I haven't had the time to do so, and now I actually do. So it's really nice, and I don't know, in a weird way, quarantine was kind of good for me. It forces me to stay home and really reflect on what I want to do.
Good. So yeah. We had someone sending the same question several times, so I don't want you to think we're ignoring you. I haven't seen your name before either, so maybe you're new. No offense, we're not ignoring you. Otra Guardia. How do you avoid noise with the D3300 and the kit lens? So noise is a product of using a high ISO, and the D3300's got a more entry-level sensor. So, as you go up through 400, 800, 1600, you're going to notice it, the noise coming in. So the trick is basically you want to add as much light to the scene as you can. Kit lenses tend to not let that much light in. So either shooting in a bright location like outdoors, or adding flash and having your lens open the aperture up as much as possible. And then if you're able to, slow the shutter speed down a little. That will help you get your ISO settings down, and that'll reduce your noise. That's the same for every camera out there. Just some cameras handle ISO noise better than others. Hi to Jan and Friso and Photorescent and Corvesa. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so other questions. Steph, are you modeling for glasses?
Oh, no, I am not. I just wear glasses when I'm on the computer, especially if I know I'm going to be on the computer all day, because I get headaches from just staring at the screen for so long. And I actually have 20/20 vision, and I would like to keep it that way. So I'm trying to protect my eyes. So that's why I have glasses.
There you go.
Yay!
Where was it? I can't see who asked it now, but someone asked the number one do's and don'ts for a nude photo shoot. Sorry, I've lost who actually asked the question now. I don't know about like number ones, this and that. I think a good rule for any photo shoot, but especially for nude photo shoots, is communicate clearly ahead of time and during the shoot. Stick to your word. If you've said you're going to shoot XYZ, shoot that. And just treat each other with respect and honesty. And if you do that, everything else is going to fall into place. But, and I would say keep in mind, as the photographer, keep in mind the experience of your model, the fact that being nude in front of a camera is not easy for most people. So be patient and be understanding and give them time when they need time, and give people rest, because even standing on tippy toes may seem like an easy enough pose, but try and do it for 5 minutes and you'll realize breaks are important. What about for you, Steph, now and when you were getting started?
I mean, I feel like you pretty much covered it, but yeah, just kind of don't be a creep. It doesn't matter what level a model may be at, still treat her with respect. Just don't assume that she's comfortable with anything and everything. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, personally for me, I know I have said this in the past, but in order to, for example, to shoot an implied nude photo shoot with me, I have to have worked with you several times. Like, it's kind of my rule, because I want to make sure that if we're going to produce photos like that, I have to be 100% comfortable with you, and I must know who you are. And I know some photographers, they don't even like want to go through that process sometimes, which is kind of surprising, but it happens. I mean, I was just talking to a photographer the other day, and he wanted to do a nude shoot with me, and I told him like, hey, this is my rule, I just don't do that. And he's like, oh, well, how many shoots? Thinking that it would be a smaller number. I was like, a handful until I'm comfortable. And he was like, yeah, I don't shoot anything but nude, so okay, all right. I'm like, okay, that's fine with me, that's fine.
So
But
yeah,
it happens.
it's a you have to that's what I was saying. You have to communicate and respect each other. But if somewhat like that guy, if he all he shoots is nudes, and it would be unreasonable, and no one would expect him to hire someone 5 times to get to know each other to then hire them to shoot what he wants. He should just go and focus on
Exactly.
someone who is a dedicated professional nude model. That's what they do. 2 of the models that I shot with for, so just rewinding it. So not everyone has the same levels, same
Yeah.
limits and levels. But so one of the things we talk through in the videos we're putting out is specifically, as adults, no euphemisms, no beating around the bush, what exactly is okay and isn't okay. And, it may make you giggle if you've never been in that situation. But if you want to be upfront and, cover everything off and make sure everyone's comfortable, having the actual conversation of, okay, so if side boob is okay, how much is this, and showing sample shots. If it's I've had to have the conversation, so how much of your penis can be shown in the image? And
Just be specific.
yeah, so no euphemisms. Just when someone says, oh, as long as it's not naughty, well, that doesn't mean anything. So you want to be really clear what someone's limitations are. And so for our ones, we had a guy who is totally fine being nude, but then he has some limitations of, if it's going to be erotic, then he doesn't want his face in it, or then something's only for still, something's for video. Yasmin was basically what would be covered by a tiny bikini is what should be covered in the photos. Steph's, if you don't mind me putting words in your mouth, because I just edited the video today, was whatever would be
That's fine.
covered in a thong shouldn't be seen in the image. That's the nuts and bolts of it. And then 2 of them are professional art nude models who, for them, it was weird to even bring lingerie with them because they're used to just being nude the entire time they're on set. So being clear about that is important. Let's see. That's all the questions I had submitted for Instagram. Hi to Tony in Norfolk.
Hello, everyone.
So Baker, mirrorless or DSLR for a beginner? I think Chris answered that perfectly. It just depends on you. Take a look at what your requirements are. Yeah, I mean, it's not like a film versus digital comparison where there's stark differences to really keep in mind. It's basically, a technological difference, and if you're going to be using EVF versus an optical viewfinder. So I would say just take a look at the different systems, see what feels comfortable, what's in your budget, and if you're really a beginner, just get what's in your budget and start from there. There's so many great cameras, you really can't go too wrong. Yeah, and then, so spend 60% of what you have to get the equipment, and then use the rest of it to go and get yourself some training or travel or education to learn to use it properly. Khan is asking, what filters do you recommend for long exposure photography? I mean, there's so many. I use, what have I used? I think I've used just about every brand out there. Unfortunately, for really long exposures, like a 10 and 15 stop, generally you do kind of get what you pay for to an extent. I actually did a video on 10 stop NDs and circular polarizers. I'll see if I can find a link to it whilst we're chatting. And for the most part, it was the more expensive ones, unfortunately, that did give the best results, but there were also some that were a bit of a surprise. So just check it out. The main thing you want to be careful on those really dense neutral density filters is them introducing a color cast. Okay, so here's one. Any questions in there that you can see, Steph?
Let's see. From Andrew Daughtry, I have a rule that if a shoot is more than 2 hours, offer snack and beverage. What are your thoughts on catering a shoot?
Well, that's one that either of us could answer, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it depends what it is. That's a nice, as a general rule, sure. I'll always have like drinks and everything on hand. If we're doing simple stuff for just a couple of hours, I won't necessarily, have full-on catering or something. But if we're doing a full day, I'll definitely be, or even a half day, I'll be factoring in breaks and that kind of thing. If it's a full day, normally I'll have lunch and or dinner organized for people. It really depends what it is. If we're sitting around a table doing, in an air-conditioned room, then someone doesn't need a falafel every 20 minutes. But if you're out in the field, then yes, bottled water and snacks and that kind of thing is going to be important. Well, how do you guys handle it,
Yeah, I
Steph?
think I usually bring, well, for my own like photo shoots, like when I go to shoots, I usually bring my own food just in case, because sometimes if a shoot goes too long or I have a break in between, then I could kind of take a nibble here and there. I personally try to avoid any snacks that have crumbs or like granola that could get stuck in your teeth. I usually go for like gummy bears just because I know for sure that's not gonna like really get stuck anywhere or like show on camera. I know it sounds really weird, but it's just the little things, and I don't know, gummy bears are just good to have. What else? For film productions, we always try to have food on set just because especially if it's going to be a long day, we want to make sure that we feed our cast and crew because it gets pretty exhausting doing fight scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Larry is asking, why can't Steph have the first word sometimes? So the rest of the chat, Steph, you're going to answer all the camera questions, okay? And I'm waiting, Larry, for what is your question for Steph? I didn't think there was any obviously aimed at Steph that I was stepping in. Apologies if I did.
My first word will be, oh, that's a camera question. Tossing that over to Matt. There you go.
Wow. Leon Simprick says, Matt, you're officially famous. Japanese teacher used a photo of you having okonomiyaki to explain Japanese food. Okay, there you go.
Wait, is there a link?
I actually need to go and call my agent or try and find an agent right now. This is kind of big time. If you're actually a Japanese fan, this is my little personal claim to fame. If you know Beat Takeshi, He has a talk show in Japan, and they've twice run clips from my drone videos on their show in Japan. Nice royalties.
Cool.
Tony Pags asks, constant or strobe flash lighting, which situations suit each? Steph?
That's a great question. Matt?
Edward asks, what do you think about the 135mm f2 prime lens?
It's good.
James
Yeah,
asks, do
see,
you
I
find
don't know
people...
the camera questions. I will answer other questions.
Being an intermediate photographer where your pictures are above average but not wow, how do you work the courage to charge knowing you will continue to make mistakes? Steam Buddy. So that's one that either of us could answer as in a general sense. Do you have any feedback for Steam Buddy?
I mean, are you proud of the work that you produce? If you're proud of like the work that you produce and you show it to somebody else and they find value in it, then why not run with it? I mean, everything, especially in photography or just like in art, it's very subjective. So if you're producing something and people see it and they find value in it, why not charge them for it? Or if they're willing to pay you for it, then that means that there is value in what you're presenting. So yeah, that's how I would go about doing it. Value, guys, value. Very business minded.
So value is an important one, but I would say, sorry, I lost my point. Where were we? I was reading two other questions at the same time. Which question will we answer again?
We were
about doing
asking-
work when you
well,
think you're going to
we were
still
asked
make
about,
mistakes.
Like, if he was.
Don't
got
send
it.
me through any more questions, please. I've got like 20 things beeping in my ears at the moment. I would say, look, everyone at every level still makes mistakes, so that's not the end of it. However, if you're going to charge someone for something, you need to be able to make an agreement and deliver on it, which means you need to be able to perform under pressure to a guideline. So that doesn't mean I'm not saying that this is what you do, but being able to wander all day to come home with one or two landscapes is great when there's no pressure. But if you've been hired by the resort to shoot their grounds and you've got the day to do it, well, you have to make do with what the weather is. You have to not have a card fail. You have to do the customer service as well. So as soon as you start charging for something, everything has to level up. You have to figure out, how do you deliver materials to clients? What time of day can they call you? How many times can they ask for revisions to the files? And so on and so forth. So there's more to it than just taking nice photos. And that's the same for any business. The success of most businesses comes down to their planning, customer service, and marketing plans. There are a lot of questions here. Svito92.
Where's Loki?
Sleeping just over there. Svito92 asks, Matt, do you offer alcohol like wine or beer if the model is new and shy? Definitely not. I think that's a big no-no. And I would not want to be shooting with any new or shy model who had taken something to get over their nerves as well.
Actually, I have worked at a shoot before where I have met models that can only model when they are inebriated. And it like blew my mind. There were like two of them and I was like, this is so unprofessional. Like, you wouldn't go into a job interview drunk. You wouldn't go into work drunk. It's the same concept. Don't drink while you're at work. And if modeling is your career or your job, just don't. Well, yeah, I wouldn't offer it.
Gotcha.
And I'm Asian too, so I get the red glow. So that's definitely no.
So, for example, going through and doing all of the editing, I realize when I know a model really well, I probably joke around. Well, I know that they're comfortable with it, but probably too much for an onlooker who don't know that we have a 3-year relationship to appreciate. But when it comes to getting consent and making sure someone is clear on what we're shooting. I take it really seriously. I don't joke around even with Steph. When we're getting clear on, is this okay and that's not okay, that I really take seriously. So I can't ask someone to sign a waiver saying that they give consent to signing away their rights if they're drunk. That's just a no. You shouldn't be shooting with them. They should build up their courage by doing more shoots. And circling back to Larry's concern about cutting Steph off, the question before about snacks, if it's tagged as Ask Matt, Matt's going to answer. If it's an Ask Steph, Steph's going to answer. So if you tag who you want to ask and then the other person might contribute something onto it, that's how we normally do it. Mike asks, Steph, do you have a favorite martial artist? And don't say Jackie Chan.
Jet Li.
Good.
Yeah. Oh, he's my favorite. Friso. Hey, Friso. What if the photographer wants you to have an Asian flush in the picture? Actually, I have been asked that before. You know what I do? I add more blush. I'm like, really? Okay. Just more blush, like, everywhere. And plus, I can control where it's like more red, so I could actually have it more evened out instead of just blotchy and
haven't you seen
gross,
that episode
like,
of The Simpsons where she says, "You ladies pinch, only whores use rouge"?
Oh, you pinch your cheek.
Yeah. Try to burst a capillary.
Oh my god.
Let's see.
Let's see. Oh, Tony. Non-camera question for Steph. Do you have any goals left for your martial arts? If so, what are... Actually, I do. I would, as weird as it is, I would still like to go back and train again to be world champion. Because I've been out of it for so long and the rules have actually changed. I've been trying to keep up with it because I still have friends that compete. But I would still want to train to be world champion in Taekwondo since it was so close and I didn't get there.
What age do people normally peak for Taekwondo?
I don't know. I think it depends. It's very different for everyone because if you start as a kid, you typically just train until like you're 18 and then you just fall off because of school. I personally find that those who have started in their 20s actually go way further, just because it's their decision to train.
So you can be a world champion at 40. It's not like...
You could be a world champion at 65.
No, but I mean an actual world champion winning the tournament.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what, because,
there's
you can't...
age brackets.
Oh, okay. I meant like number one whole world, not age bracket wise.
Oh yeah, it's always going to be age bracket. Like I got 3rd place for 2 divisions for the, oh my gosh, I think it was 18 to 25.
Okay. So they don't have
age range.
There's no open where like there's just the number one. Okay. Because that would be quite interesting to know. Is it like a 60-year-old grandmaster beats the 18-year-old super fast kid, or is it experience or speed or strength or wisdom? Or
I think Joey's style is more close to that than anything else.
But that's karate, right?
But it's everybody has to fight everyone in order to be the best, and
that's Fight Club, my dear. If this is your first night, you have to fight. Hit me in the ear, man.
People get hurt. Insane.
Hassan,
broken ribs.
I'm out. Hassan asks how to price photo packages. I would suggest that you take a step back, and so there's a couple of ways you can go about it. And actually, in my business of photography course, we go through, there's a bunch of different models of pricing that are really useful as kickoff points to think about what's going to work for you. So you could look at what people around you are charging. You can use it to position yourself within the market. But the most effective, I find, is to identify who your customers actually are. So not everyone is going to buy your wedding package or your landscape photo or your martial arts training package. So let's use martial arts instead of photography. Let's say you're offering one-on-one private lessons for kids who want to train to be champions. Which city you're in is going to make a difference. Which academy you're tied to is going to make a difference. Whether it's Asian families or Western families, I don't know, may make a difference. How you package it, is it a year-long thing or an individual thing? If it's like a really bougie area, all of that's going to play into it. So you can't charge most families a $10,000 a year package, but there'd be some families that you could. There'd be some that you can charge $20 an hour, and there'd be some that you can charge $200 an hour to, and it's how it's probably as much to do with the services you're offering as your qualifications to an extent. So step back and figure out who your customers are, how to reach them, what they expect in terms of service and packages and products from their professionals, and then price according to that. If you're aiming for the Richie McRichersons, but you're charging, $200 a month, they probably won't consider you because you're too cheap, and vice versa.
Yeah, check your competitors in the area.
Check yourself. How are we doing? Oh, we're already at half an hour. Let's choose a few more here. Tony's got another one.
101 blog asks, how do you deal with awkward or creepy photographers? I don't. I leave. I kindly leave.
Uppercut.
I mean, if I'm uncomfortable, like during the shoot, it's gonna show in the photos. I mean, you can't really hide that. The camera catches everything, and I'd rather not be in that environment. So I just kindly leave. And if they paid me, I give them their money back and I just leave. Yeah, it's just not worth it.
Posen Sui asks, UV filter or not UV filter? Let me find a video I've done on that for you. There's a few specific situations where I think it's worth it, but most of the time I think it's a total misnomer that they protect your lens, and it's a false logic. People think that I was wearing my lens had a filter on, something hit my lens, the filter broke, therefore it saved my lens. That's not the case. It's not a bulletproof vest. It's like saying that, I won't even think of another analogy. A UV filter is a millimeter thick and generally very brittle. Your lens front element is probably like half an inch thick and may chip at worst, but your filter is going to smash a lot more easily. So it makes you feel like that $100 you spent on a piece of glass to cut haze and UV on a digital camera that doesn't suffer from UV was worth it, but I don't think so. And it's the biggest markup item in a camera shop. That's the reason that camera salespeople try and push them to you, not because they're really good insurance. If you really want it for that, then you can get protection filters that are a lot thicker. They're still expensive, they will offer a bit of protection, and they will still degrade the image. But generally, unless I'm shooting at the beach or in a sandstorm in the desert, then I don't use them. Unless it's like, there's one exception that I thought of. When I got loaned a lens from a company that was worth like $10,000 and it shipped with a filter on it, I thought, you know what? A tiny line on the front of my 85mm, I won't see it in the picture and it doesn't bother me. But on this $10,000 lens, yeah, I don't want to get a tiny little line on the front of it. I'll use the filter and then send it back to them. Yeah. Let's see, one or two more. Let's try and find a good one for each of us.
Let's see. Oh, this could apply to both of us. Where do you see yourself career-wise in 5 years?
Retired.
Retired from modeling for sure, and our school dropouts business going well and making movies every year.
Booyah.
Yeah.
No, probably not retired, but probably in a different city. Yeah, where I'm leaning into something right now. Let me see how this year plays out before I make a definitive one on that.
That is true, because 2020 has been quite a gamble.
Now let's call next year 2020 and just ignore this one. This is a gimme.
Oh, we'll just skip it.
Yeah.
So does our age stay the same?
I don't care. We all got fat anyway, so what's it matter if we're a year older?
Let's see. What else you guys got?
Friso is asking my plans for Singapore. I'm not sure what you mean. Maybe about running a workshop there. There's no flights, so I have no plans. I'm not working on any international workshops right now.
Oh wow, that's funny because we just got asked any chance of you two traveling with workshops when the world reopens.
So when this was just starting to kick off, Steph and I had someone, I won't go into all the details, but the potential to go to Europe to run something, and that would have been for about a month from now. So it kind of worked out that it didn't work out because I don't think Americans will be allowed into Europe at that time still, or not without a quarantine that would make it unfeasible. But I will certainly, I'm dying to travel, but I'm not going to risk dying to travel until, it's really, I feel that it's safe. So it'll be once, I'm willing to travel and do it safely, and then travel more generally starts back up. I could go to, once I feel comfortable, to somewhere to run a workshop, but I think it's going to be a while before I can find 12 people who want to take a photography tour to a place, because you need to trust all of those 12 people and all of the people we interact with on the way and there have either gotten a vaccine or at low risk or whatever. So it's not going to be anytime too soon, unfortunately.
Yeah.
One here that Yobo sent through, Mike's asking, when's the next seafood video? I am so flat out at the moment, I have no idea. There's too many balls in the air at the moment for me to even be thinking about the seafood videos that are just a bit of fun. It's not going to be this month. There's too much going on.
Oh, there's a new game that just came out. It's called Crab Fight, and it's just seafood fighting each other. I think you would like it just because it's funny and it's seafood.
And I just said I don't have time for anything stupid.
I'm just saying.
Okay, last question, and then we should wrap this up because we've both got so much to get back to. See, otherwise I could be editing a seafood video right now.
Yeah.
8-Bit Okie. I was wondering, how do you get models to take part in the creative process, like the ideas, the outfits, etc.? You ask them to be a part of the process. So I'm in that right now, where so later this month I have another big shoot going on with half a dozen different models all spaced out making a new series. And I'm going back and forward. Reminder, Steph, if you can send me some ideas today to figure out.
I'm terrible at idea generation.
To work out options and outfits, and you can start, I don't personally use it very often, but a Pinterest board where you share inspiration and your model can collaborate that way. When I go to shoot with Yasmin, I'll send her some topics and some samples of the kind of thing I'm looking for, and then she'll send me back photos of some outfits she has and some photos she's seen that she really likes, and we go back and forward like that. And then when we get there, we're not like trying to replicate an image, but we have a shared understanding of what the kind of looks that we're going for are and what the outfits we're going to be shooting are as well. So there's no trick to it. You say, hey Steph, we're shooting next Wednesday. I'm thinking about a black bodysuit. What do you think of these samples? Can you send me what you like?
Okay.
And then it's happening.
Yeah, cool. I mean, also with me too, it's like a little bit different. The photographers that I work with a lot, it's gotten to a point where we don't really talk about creative ideas anymore. It's more like, hey, show up and surprise, we're going to do this. Okay, cool. Because I've just kind of done so many different things.
That's actually something
But
we
being
covered.
part of the process is good.
That's something we covered in the behind the scenes shoot with Steph as well, that for almost everyone that I work with, I would go through the process, whether it's just something for YouTube or for a client or implied or lingerie or nude. I would go through and make it quite clear what I'm going to shoot with them. But for Steph and I, either of us could call the other person and just say, are you free tomorrow? And we would just go and figure it out because we've shot enough. We know each other's strengths and weaknesses and limits and that kind of thing that we can just make it happen. But don't assume that for the first 15 shoots at least. You know, take the time to build it up. Okay.
That's why I think investing in a model to work with is a good idea. You don't have to keep shooting all different types of models. You can shoot with one and build up.
I agree, unless you're trying to build a portfolio and then you want more than one person in your portfolio. And a model will want more than one photographer in their portfolio as well. I think there's a sweet spot, and it'll depend on the person, between only shooting people once and trying to just rack up as many different models or photographers as you can, or only having the one. It's nice to have a muse, but if my entire portfolio was Steph, her, me, all of you would eventually get sick of it. You need some kind of diversity. I think that might be it. So thank you guys. Check out the new websites, enter your art nude shots, and again, be creative with it. If you don't shoot nude adults, but you want to do something creative, then go for it. They'll be included, and it'll be the shot that's the best technical, creative, interesting, inspiring shot that wins, not who has the sexiest model per se. So yeah, get involved, and we will see you Friday night for the judging. Cheers. I'll talk to you later, Steph.
Bye, guys.